In this lesson, we're going to go over how to import our blend shapes from Maya into Unreal 4 as morph targets and how to edit them after the fact. There's some nice animation tools that we'll take a look at. So let's get started. First up, we're going to open up our animation by importing it. In there, we'll go to the appropriate folder where they're at. We'll scroll down here. The one we first want to get is Ice Top. We'll grab this guy real quick and hit open. When he hits open, when it comes in, I should say, you should see that Unreal 4 already recognizes that this piece of geometry has a skeletal mesh, and it does have some animation included. Now, by default, import morph targets is not on. Make sure you turn that on so you can actually get the blend shapes that you've created. You can also update your skeletal reference pose if you need to. We don't really have to in this case, but that is an option just in case the pose has changed depending on the animation that you're bringing in or what state it was when you brought it out of Maya. Down below we have mesh LODs. Now we don't have any LODs on these, but they actually can help, especially if the player's far away. But we see the player being pretty up close, and we don't need to have 3 levels of detail. That's why that's there. LOD's level of detail. We can preserve smoothing groups. Now, a lot of the times this has to do with the immediate exporting options in FBX from Maya, but it also refers to the smoothing group control you get in 3D Studio Max. So if you're curious about that, if you can control your smoothing groups better in 3D Studio Max than Maya. We can import meshes in bone hierarchy. Now we really just have one bone, but I like to keep that on just in case. And last but not least, we can do create physics asset. This allows us to have some sort of collision, and we can add other properties to it if we needed. All right, so we import materials and import texture, and we should be good to go. It says override full name. That's fine. Convert scene. All that should be good. Let's go ahead and import. Now with that in there, we're now going to play with our other pieces and bring them in. So let's actually move this guy around first in 3D space. Let's place this guy. Now you'll notice my camera is low and he comes in really far away. But we can fix that by going in here and just moving my camera back a little bit and a little bit on the up scale here, the Y, or the Z in this case when it comes to Unreal. And then now when I bring in my animation, you'll see that we're a little bit closer in 3D space to what we want. Now my pivot's a little bit farther out, but that's okay. That can always be fixed by right-clicking on the object, and you can actually get some properties for that to be able to place it in the spot that you want. So let's go ahead and click back in our scene, click on our object, and let's go ahead and place this accurately. Be careful when you are working in Unreal and Maya. Don't hit Alt and move objects. You'll easily duplicate them, and it can run into some serious problems. You'll have multiple terrains, multiple objects you didn't intend to be all over the place. He's a little bit too close. Let's go and push him back a little bit. We want to get that nice ice feel to him. And you can scale them, believe it or not. Move them around, change their shape. They will keep their morph targets, but your universal control, scale, and position in the world is pretty much can override a lot of different things. So wherever you place it, that's where it's going to be. Wherever you rotate it, that's how it's going to start animating. So, but you can also control that, and we'll go over that in just a second in some of the properties. So let's go and import the bottom ice area. And we're going to take a look at some of the properties for animation control. Let's go and open. Same thing as before. This should all be good to go. Now, we don't have to hit the animation tab. That's more for characters. In our case, we just need single animation types. So we can go and hit import. Briefly comes in. We'll recognize the skeletal mesh. I had it selected so it looks at our morph targets. And anytime you're not sure if the morph targets are active, just double click on the animation and you'll see these properties come up. And we'll get into this in just a second. So let's go and place them in the world. Oh, kind of flopped a little bit there. We'll just leave him there and pull him forward. Again, this is all kind of based where our camera's set. And go a little bit, maybe a little bit higher. It's actually not bad. Rotate around, take a look, maybe even pull it in a little bit like that. There we go. Pretty cool. All right, so let's look at the animation and what we can do and some of the cool things we can play with. Let's go and double click on our top animation. And we're going to mess with some of the animation curve properties, which are pretty darn cool. It's down here a bit. There we go. Double click on it. And you'll see that we have the animation area, Let's make this full screen so you can actually see this. And we also have the mesh. And in our mesh, we can control exactly, almost like an absolute control of what our blend shapes are going to look like. So if you need to adjust something after the fact, you can control the strength. Pretty nice. We can even make it throbbing if we wanted to. So if I lifted that guy up, made this guy go this way, and made this guy go extreme, you'll see that it just kind of looks like a solid mass, right? Then we can change that by lowering this guy and lowering this guy a bit. And then maybe lowering this guy. See that right there? So you can play with the strength and how they work with the timing. So I'm just going to put that back down. Autosave is active right now. You might want to turn that off if your computer has a hard time with Unreal. Sometimes it can get a little tricky, and we'll put that back to its original state. All right, so we can make it stronger too. Just really cool to be able to play with this. Look at that right there. Changing the shape and the output of it. So let's go to animation. We'll click on the animation tab now. And you'll see that we have several different tracks. Now right now I have it to show all. Shows all of them. But you can turn them off as you need. You can hide all if you want, or go back in here and select as you need. So I'll do show all for this case. And let's say we want to see the whole track timeline. And we want to change some of the animation. So I can go in the animation curve settings here and lift this up. And I can change it on the fly. I can change this while it's doing the playback, and we can see what it looks like if we like it. And say we'll go to this one here and tweak this one and maybe make it look a little odd. So we'll mess with that a little bit, like really ridiculous. And we can even make it pulsate if we wanted to. See that right there? Just by me messing with our curves. It's pretty cool to be able to play with this. And you can turn the other ones off if you want to, so you can have a little bit more room. You can even open up your window a little bit. And we'll turn this guy off too. Boop. There we go. Or actually, this is my extension here. You can control the material curve. Now, we don't have a material curve in here, but you can actually have that option. We're going to be making a material later on, and we'll probably be playing with that a little bit as we go. And as you scroll your wheel mouse, you can zoom in and out on your animation, and you can take a look at these things closer. All right, so that's about it. You can see all the cool things you can do with your animation, with the stuff that you have in place. Let me go and undo real quick. And let's go ahead and move on now to our advanced materials. And after that, we're going to actually link our materials as well as mess with Blueprint.